if you're a mom out there and you're listening, I know that your life is busy. Whether you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom, you're busy, and sometimes your self-care, it just falls to the wayside, right? But we know this is important to you. We know you need to take care of yourself. It's just hard to do it. One of the good ways to take care of yourself is get on down to the salon. Maybe you're getting your hair done or you're getting a skincare routine, but how do you make time for it? What if there was a different way? What if the salon could come to you in your very own neighborhood? I'm not just talking about coming to your house, but the entire salon could come to you. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today on This Is Jax. Rhian Richards, she's the owner of Print by Rhian. It's a mobile salon. We're going to hear her story, how her journey went from Miami, South Florida. I'm never leaving South Florida, to Jacksonville. And she went from working in a salon to now being the owner, operator, and running a mobile salon that is in 7 different locations around our city. I can't wait to share her story and get into it. But first, if you're a first-time listener, please subscribe, leave a comment. We'd love to know that you're here and following along. Don't miss an episode. Welcome to This Is Jax, a hyper-local podcast. We're going to do our best. We're going to bring on successful business owners, the people who drive the cities, share a lot about what makes our city so great, so you can be confident and comfortable. This is a city that you want to call home. All right, Rhian Richards, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Sitting down with us. This is Jax. I'm excited to talk about all things, your journey to Jacksonville, your 25 plus years of experience, with hair and with your salons, and then this trailer that you got, which is a crazy idea.
Yeah, it's crazy on so many levels.
I looked at your social medias and stuff, so I saw some videos and pictures of it, and so that was pretty cool. But before we get there, so 25 years, how'd this get started?
So actually my parents bought their first salon when I was 2. So I have literally grown up in this business. And when I was 14, I kind of, got my first job with them and thought, no, I'll never do this. I'll never do this. And I don't know, right around 16, 17, I thought, you know what, I kind of want to do this. And so I started doing hair. I went to school at 16, graduated at 17. So here we are all these years later, and I'm still doing it. I still love it.
Okay. So what was it like growing up at the salon?
It was awesome. I was a little girl. It was great. I mean, I got my hair done all the time. All the clients told me how cute I was, and I got to just, be around beauty things all the time. It was great. Okay,
cool. I similar experience, not a salon, but we owned a flower shop.
Okay.
So some of my memories were like taking naps under the front counter while like my parents are like customers are coming in, but that was like my little like fort in my blankets.
Yep.
Or getting in the cooler out back with like the forklifts and stuff. A little bit different than.
Yeah. They had a back room. So I would do like, Saturday morning cartoons back there.
Yeah.
We'd like get bagels and do Saturday morning cartoons. Okay. And that was my hangout spot, Saturday morning.
That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. And at our flower shop, there actually was a salon next door, or maybe a barber shop or something. And they had like toys and stuff. So sometimes I would venture over there. We were in between Clark Water, which was like all the salt and stuff for the pool. And then we had the flower shop and then the salon. So kind of grew up in that business world. It sounds like you kind of had a similar experience there. And then you mentioned in your notes too, working at L'Oreal as a color educator. What is that? What's that mean?
So I would go into salons with a sales rep. Sales was not my job, but they would basically use me to kind of teach the stylists how to use their color line, which was a great, sales incentive. And so I had Key West to Palm Beach was my territory. And so any L'Oreal salons or salons that thought about bringing in L'Oreal, I would go and work with the stylists. And depending on the size of the salon, depending on their needs, I would sometimes be there for a day or a week, or I'd go in and do seasonal looks with them or things like that. So I literally educated on the line. Okay.
So like, is it similar to being like a marketing rep for that, or sales? Were you getting,
it was not really sales. I mean, it was very technical. So if they had questions about formulations or switching from the color line they used to a new color line, that was kind of where I came in. So yeah, it was very technical questions about actually how the color performed on the hair. So salons loved that from a sales perspective because, changing your color line's really intimidating. So they're like, oh, well, you'll be with us for the week and help us convert everything over. it was a good sales tactic. But my job was not sales. No, I am not a salesperson.
No. Okay. No. But so were you actually not only like educating them about the product, were you getting experience using the product as well to kind of like teach them? Was that part of the process?
Yeah, 100%. So I actually considered myself a pretty good stylist and colorist before I worked for them. And when I got hired on full time, they send you to Tampa for a week for like a full summit of, everything L'Oreal, everything color. And I learned a tremendous amount in that week that I really thought that I knew a lot. And that really took it to a whole nother level. Yeah. And it was continuing, every season we looked at different looks and, the trends and kind of how to achieve them. And so, yeah, it was really great career-wise to do that.
It's pretty cool. Plus the whole Key West to Palm Beach part.
I had a pretty good territory. Yeah.
That's pretty, that's a nice territory. I know we're here talking about this is Jackson, how much we love our city, but man, what an experience. I was fortunate. So I was born, when I was talking to you earlier, like I was born in Sebastian, Florida. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you made your way that far up.
I did not,
no. Where were you from originally?
Just outside of like Fort Lauderdale, Coral Springs Plantation area. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah. So you were born there. That's where you grew up, or?
I was born in Plantation, grew up in Coral Springs, and then I kind of moved further south as the years went on. So I moved back to Plantation, and then lastly, I lived in Miami before I moved up to Jax. So that's a huge, stark contrast to Jax. Yeah.
Totally different. And you touched on spending some time in Tampa. There was no attraction to Tampa or no thought that you might move there. How was your experience in Tampa?
I liked Tampa, but I honestly never thought I'd leave South Florida. I mean, it was everything I knew, and I had a clientele there, and all my friends were there. I grew up there. Yeah. So I never was really in the market to move anywhere. So Tampa was nice. I just never looked at anything else.
So if you had no intention to move, what was it that brought you up here?
My family moved up, I guess, 9 or 10 years before me, and I thought they had lost their mind. I was living in Miami, and they took me through Green Cove Springs 20 years ago. So I literally thought they had lost their mind. And I'd come visit, I was like,
that's where they moved, to Green Cove Springs?
They actually moved to Fleming Island. But
Fleming Island.
Why they took me through Green Cove Springs, I have no idea. It was probably just to traumatize me.
Okay, if you're a local listener, you're aware of where those areas are. But if you're out there listening, you're not from the Jacksonville area, that's like the southwest side of the city. Jacksonville is this awesome place. It's basically like northeast Florida. And that's Jacksonville's in Duval County, Southwest County, Clay County. That's where Fleming Island and Green Cove are. 20 years ago, cow farms, right?
Oh my gosh, farm after farm Dairy after farm. And I really thought they have lost their mind. I saw more cows than stores, for sure.
So as somebody who I grew up in Pinellas County, so St. Pete, Clearwater, and it never made sense to me to even live as far inland as Tampa. It just blew my mind. Like, why would you live that far from the beach?
Right.
And so I'm sure that's kind of the same idea. And I still get those thoughts in Green Cove today. I lived out there for like 8 years. It's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I first moved from Tampa to Jacksonville, and then, built a house in Green Cove. And then we moved back over here. Actually, we lived like 5 minutes away from the studio. But I mean, man, it's hard to leave the beach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's really hard. And, shopping and restaurants, and there was always something going on.
So they came up here first, and you're like, you guys are insane.
Yeah.
You moved, you traded the beach for a cow farm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes no sense. Mm-hmm. But 9 years later.
Never coming.
But 9 years later, you're here.
So I would come up on the weekends and visit. And on one of those weekends, I met my now husband.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the ongoing joke. My mom's like, it took a guy to get you to move here.
Where'd you meet him?
He was actually my brother's friend. He met him in school. And so I met him through my brother. But
and they lived out in Fleming Island, or was he living over on the Jacksonville side at this time?
Fleming Island. They were in Eagle Harbor.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up here.
Man. So, okay. So then did you move when you moved up? Where did you move together, or you moved into Fleming Island, or where?
No, we actually got an apartment not too far from here, kind of town center. I was like, if you're bringing me up here, I need to be near some civilization.
Okay. How long ago was that?
15 years ago.
Okay, cool. So town center then was like half of what it is today.
Yeah, yeah.
Still a lot of trees, right? Yeah. Were you here when 295, or it wasn't a full loop, it was 9A, and it had a red light at Butler Boulevard?
I was,
okay.
Yes. Yep,
okay, cool. So that's about the same time I was getting here. I got here in 2006, so familiar with that time. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of us that have been here, that time period, how many changes have you seen in Jacksonville?
Oh my gosh, tremendous changes. Yeah. And actually now that I have a family of my own and I'm a little older, I wish it was a little more like it was all those years ago.
Yeah. Slow it down.
Yeah, slow it down a little bit. The convenience is nice, but slow it down a little bit. Yeah.
That's good. And that's, we talk about it on the show a lot. And I don't know if you would agree, but that's one of the things that makes Jacksonville special is like the pace of the city. Mm-hmm. How do you think, so going, let's talk about pace in a little bit, but let's first let's get into your hair stuff. Let's get back to it. So when you were doing the colors and stuff there, and when you moved up here, were you still working or in that, or did you transition then? What were you doing?
So I actually would drive back there every other week and do my clients. My family still lived there, so I was able to live with my family. So I would spend a week there and just work my tail off and get everybody in. So I was doing 1 week here and 1 week there for about a year, and that kind of got old and I needed to really fully transition. So I ended up working at a salon at the beach up here and rebuilding my clientele. Okay,
cool. Mm-hmm. So you came up here kind of like a fresh start.
Yeah, and I found my way back to the beach.
That's good. Yeah. Which beach?
Jack's.
Right in Jack's Beach. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My office is out on Jack's Beach right now, right on Pittman Road. So we love it out there. We live over in E-Town.
Oh, yeah. My brother's in E-Town.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. Which is like the most central location. It's not central at all on the map. But as far as like getting to the beach, getting to the airport, getting to Nocatee, and even crossing Buckman and Orange Park is like 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're kind of, yeah.
And then so you start building your clientele out there on the beach. Mm-hmm. And what year is this? What year are we talking?
Ooh,
how long were you
2010, 2011.
Okay.
I was out there about 10 years.
10 years. Okay. Yeah. So from the beach to Primp.
Yeah. It was a journey.
Give us the version. We've never heard it. We don't know the story.
Yeah. So I moved my clientele. I started building my clientele out at the beach thinking I would eventually move out there. And instead of moving that way, I kept moving further and further away. Yeah. So P.S., long story short, I find myself in St. John's in Rivertown, which is far from everything, particularly the beach. It's about 45 minutes. And,
yeah.
So I loved the salon where I was. I loved my clients, but I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the drive just got kind of old. So I was looking to transition out into St. John's, and I actually started offering to do hair in people's homes while I transitioned out there. And it blew up bigger than I could have ever imagined. And I was super busy that I was like, all right, we need good hair out here away from the beach, and I need help. So
it's one of the challenges. There's a lot of new development, both in Clay, even today, the Green Cove area we talked about, and then over in St. John's, Rivertown, where you're at. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of shops. And if there are shops, the first shops to come in, even like in E-Town, what you see is I don't know what you call them. I call them like B shops.
Yeah.
They're like the standard, back in the day, we don't see them as much, but back, your hair, it's like your great clips or sport clips or just the very like normal places. 100%. And then food wise, like the Applebee's, Chili's type. And it takes a while for an area to kind of develop those mom and pop style or those small business owners and to really take foot there. So that's a pretty good accomplishment. And then also if you are someone like yourself that sees the need for it.
Right. And so I loved Rivertown, but what I really didn't love was that everything was so far away and it was super inconvenient. And at this point I had kids myself and like just anything was so far to try to do for myself, shopping, self-care. And so that was the need. I was like, we need something closer that's convenient, that you don't have to drive an hour and a half by the time you do your service and the hour and a half drive. Nobody has time for it. Nobody wanted it after COVID. Everybody wanted everything convenient.
Okay. What affects it? It sounds like the COVID situation was kind of at the same time starting. So what affects, how was your experience in the hair world?
I think being in Florida, we were a little sheltered from it. Honestly, I was still at the salon at the beach and we closed for 8 weeks and I went a little stir crazy. And then I kind of got into my groove of being home, actually.
Okay.
And then I went back into the salon.
Did you have secret clients during those 8 weeks?
I didn't, but I know people who did.
Oh yeah. I had my barber come to the office. I was like a drug dealer of like secret business.
Oh gosh. I had coworkers. They'd only take cash. They wouldn't text about it. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was get over here. Call my barber. I'm like, I got a whole crew lined up.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed my time off, awesome. Actually. I cried when I had to go back.
That's funny. Okay, so All right, you're opening a salon. Why not a storefront? Or well, let's talk about it first. Give me the rundown on Primp, the mobile salon. How's this work?
All right, so we bought a travel trailer, 37-foot travel trailer. So she's big, and we converted it into a full-service salon. So we have a shampoo sink, a waiting area, 3 full-service hair chairs, and then a back room where we do aesthetics and brows and lashes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's
and you got it wrapped. It's like
Yep, it's pink.
I mean, it looks good. It's not Bobo at all.
No. And that's always kind of the challenge. People don't know what to expect out of it. And then they see it and they're like, oh, this isn't what I thought at all. So that was something I really wanted to make sure that we overcame.
And that's how the product works. And then, so why not a storefront? Why the trailer?
I didn't want to just do a storefront. It just didn't speak to me. I wanted to have a niche. I wanted to be a little different. I wanted to speak to the need of the convenience of the location where we were.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And then, so we talked briefly off the camera, right? Before that you set up in different neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So is this like every Tuesday I'm in neighborhood A, every Wednesday I'm in neighborhood B kind of thing? Or how does the scheduling work?
Yeah, so I think, as far as food trucks go, they can kind of pop up anywhere. And we, being in the business that we're in, we really need to have a consistent schedule. People want to know where we're going to be. And so, yes, so 3 days a week, we are in the same locations. Wednesday and Thursday, we alternate depending on the week. So in total, we're in 7 different locations, but always we keep the same schedule and we keep the calendar up 4 months in advance.
Okay, so it's a little routine.
Correct.
So if you're trying to plan ahead, if you're out there, you're listening, you're like, I got to check this out. I want to get my hair done. It's routine. It's easy to find. Okay. Are you setting up in commercial parking lots or neighborhoods?
Always neighborhoods. Every once in a while, we'll do a pop-up in a commercial parking lot if we do a collab with like a med spa or a boutique, but it's always neighborhoods.
How receptive are the neighborhoods? Like, is there management on site that you have to coordinate with or get approval from? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have to get approval from the CDD always, and we have to show our proof of insurance from, a liability point of view. And mostly they're pretty open to it. It's a service for the residents, and we're completely self-contained. We run off a water tank and a generator, so we just need a few parking spaces in their amenity center and we're good to go.
Very cool. Now, are you guys also going to, you could do some really cool stuff. I'm just like, my mind is like, are you setting up on the side of like the Gate River Run? Are you setting up a station to just like is it, for like marketing purposes or giving out Gatorades or doing that kind of stuff?
One of my favorite things about the business is really being deep in the community. And we do a ton of community things, including giving back to the community. Anytime I get a chance to be in front of the community, I say yes. But what we have found is because we are so big is we're better off just kind of setting up little braid bars. So we just set up a table and some carts and we'll do braid or tinsel. And it's great for marketing, but it's not so cumbersome to bring the entire unit to something that's already busy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Man, it's a really cool thing. Do you cut guys' hair or just women?
Just women.
Jeez.
Sorry.
What's up with that? A lot of salons are like that.
Yeah. I don't know. We're pink, like from top to bottom.
Yeah, who cares?
Do most guys want to get their hair cut in this?
They want good haircuts. It's something that's lacking.
It's true. Yeah.
Not every guy wants just a buzz cut or like a high fade or.
Yeah, barbering is such a unique niche though. And I'm just like, it's not our jam. I want to stick to what we're good at.
What about guys that have long hair?
Yeah.
Any exception there?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Maybe someday if I grow back. My hair was like down to here.
Oh, wow.
Like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And then it was the same thing. It was hard to find someone to cut it to like.
Yeah, because at that point you don't want to go to a barber.
Yeah.
Yeah, long hair, I guess would. Yeah.
There you go. We'll look into it. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
For the listener out there, if we see those changes. What do you think? So going from, how was your setup at the beach? Were you renting your booth?
Yes, I rented my chair.
Okay, so it was on that type of, because I know there's how many different types of salons are there?
So pretty much there's commission or booth rental.
Okay.
And now there's like the salon suite rental, which is kind of newer to the game, but that's becoming really popular.
That is. It's like a WeWork area, but more permanent for salons.
Yeah.
It's interesting to go to.
It's a very interesting model.
So commission rent booth or commission? Mm-hmm. Which one was which? Okay. Mm-hmm. And so how do you think your transition from that to being a business owner was? What was that experience like for you?
Ooh, it's been a learning curve for sure. It's definitely been a learning curve. It's It's different. It's definitely different.
Okay.
But I like it. I like the leadership aspect of it. I really like the training part of it. I was a trainer for L'Oreal for 3 years, so that's kind of my core. And so I really love helping the girls grow their clientele and get better at what they're doing. And so that's part of it that I really like.
How would you say it went in the city? Like if you're someone out there listening and you're like, I'm thinking about jumping ship, leaving my job or leaving my rental space and going out on my own, start my own business. What was that experience like here in Jacksonville, here in Northeast Florida?
I think because I was already pretty connected to the community, it was a really smooth transition. Okay. We already had some great connections with like St. John's Moms and a nonprofit organization. And so I think it was a pretty smooth transition as far as that goes. Lots of learning curves as far as going mobile. I think brick and mortar or mobile, whenever you own, there's things that you don't expect that you learn along the way. But
who's driving the trailer?
So my husband does it in the morning and I do it in the afternoon.
You're like, he drops it off and then you go pick it up.
Yep.
You go to work and you pick it up.
Yep.
What? Okay. Do you swap cars? What? Okay.
Logistics.
Yeah. I want to know the logistics of this.
So that was part of the reason why we got the pull behind and not a drivable, so we could swap cars. Yes. So we bought this massive dually F350 to be able to pull this bad boy.
Good.
And so he drops it off and then he works from home. So he brings the car home and then I'll take it and head back into the salon with the truck. And then
so he drops off early.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you take the truck back out on your day. And now what about, how's it set up? Or do you have employees or is it booth rental?
No, we're commission based. Yeah, commission. We have employees. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So now you're not like, they're just converging on the site.
Yes.
Right. Like, so okay. Yeah. Have you ever had anybody like they drove to the wrong?
Oh, it happens all the time. We do it every once in a while. Like one of the,
yeah, that's what I mean. Girls, she's like, hey, I drove to the wrong neighborhood today.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I hired somebody back in July and like week 2, she drove to the wrong location. She's like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, we have all done it. I post weekly on our Instagram where we're going to be. And it's like an ongoing joke that we always have to check the Instagram to know where we're going to be that day.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It is like, okay. Man, okay. Let's get back to maybe like your personal story and stuff. You never thought you were going to leave Miami. No. Never thought you were going to leave South Florida.
No. Mm-mm.
You finally get up here. You're working. Then you're opening your own business. You got kids up here and stuff. Mm-hmm. What's your viewpoint now? You going back to Miami?
Never, ever, ever, ever. This is such a great place to raise kids.
What makes it so great?
The community. I've never, ever seen anything like it. And I don't know if that's every community, but the communities we work within have been amazing. I mean, it's like old school. You need some sugar, you post it, and there's 4 people offering you sugar. It's great. The sports are all within our neighborhood, the friends. It's real tight-knit.
I love hearing that. It's kind of old school. A lot of people come on the show and they say Jacksonville is like the biggest biggest small town.
It's true.
Right. And do you think that's tied? We talked about it. Now we're going to go back to it. Do you think that's tied to the pace of the city? Maybe.
I do.
Okay.
I do. And I think that people who are moving here from other areas of the country want that. I think they're looking for that. And so they embrace that culture and keep it going.
Might be part of the reason why they choose Jacksonville over Tampa, Miami.
Right.
I don't know where Orlando exists too, but it's hot there.
Yeah. No beach. Real far from a beach.
Oh, man. What are they doing?
I don't know.
I think
couldn't do it.
Every time I go through there, or I have some friends that live there. I'm like,
and the traffic. Holy cow, the traffic.
Yeah. I thought the same thing because remember I was born in Sebastian, grew up in Tampa, thought I would go home, and then just didn't. Now I'm here. Now we got 4 kids.
Yeah. 4 kids. Wow, you're busy.
Yeah.
We have 2 boys and I'm busy. 4 kids.
Yeah, 2 girls, 2 boys.
Oh, that's nice. I'm one of 4. 2 girls, 2 boys.
Nice. I'm ready to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I love the pace of the city. It can be a pain if there was something, it's a positive. I think it's an overwhelming positive. There's parts of that are negative. Sometimes you're like, hey, we're a little behind in this area or something. Mm-hmm. What are some things about Jacksonville that you would change, that you would like to see get better?
Shopping.
Okay.
I would like some better stores to shop.
Kind of like what we talked about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is that mainly Jacksonville proper or the outlying places? Because Clay County, St. John's and Clay have like exploded residential, but they don't really have, you got to come up to town center. Every store you could ever want is a town center. But what kind of stores?
That's to be argued.
Well, what are you looking for? What are you looking for?
I don't know. Macy's.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Like a
Yeah, like a normal. I mean, I will say
like
I've
a
really,
normal mall.
yeah, I've really embraced the boutiques. That is nice. I
Yeah.
do like the little local boutiques, but sometimes it's nice to have some.
There's Dillard's.
That's true.
And Nordstrom.
It's such a tiny Nordstrom.
Okay. But there's nothing in St. John's.
No, there's not.
And nothing in Clay either.
No.
Really. So like for those two parts, and maybe that's kind of what we mean. And maybe they're on the verge of that. Anything, do you know, have you living in Rivertown, are you seeing any plans, or is there anything on your local, I don't know, Facebook post or something where something's opening?
No, not really. Not like that. We are getting some more restaurants, things like that, but not the powers that be. If they listen to this show, could they please put a Target in St. John's?
That's it. If you're an urban planner and you're out in St. John's in the suburbs of Jacksonville, please listen. We need more Targets.
We need more Targets.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that's one thing too. We lived out in Green Cove Springs, and it was 20 minutes to get to Publix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, that's insane.
Yeah. I call it going into town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. So maybe a little bit better there. I understand that too. What about entertainment wise? What do you think about Jacksonville?
I guess we're just not in that phase of life that's super important to me. Okay. It definitely could grow. I'm sure it could grow, but I mean, we do like baseball games on the weekends, and that's where I am, and I'm good with that.
We got an NFL team.
Yeah,
we got plenty of concerts that come through.
Yeah, we do. That's true. Yeah, but like I said, the community's so amazing. We just had this awesome fall fair on Saturday night in our community, and they had music, and it was great. I don't miss the entertainment. Just for where I am personally.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't have time. I got 4 kids. Yeah, what do you want me to do, Yeah. All right, let me get into this here. You said you wanted to talk about one of the challenges you found when you moved to Jax. What was that?
How far away everything was. That was 100%
kind of what we're talking
challenge.
About. Just that it's so massive.
Yeah, everything's 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and back then, especially like when you first got here, 295 was like a 2-lane freeway, a lot smaller. 9A, we already touched on that. And I don't know, like I came to UNF and I remember going one day and it just seemed so big. Even coming from Tampa or St. Pete, it seems so big.
It's so spread out. Right? Yeah.
There were parts that I didn't even know about. Yeah. So like now it's funny because my career in real estate, I'm all over all 3 counties. Yeah. I might hit all 3 counties in one day. Yeah. So I'm just
a lot of driving.
I'm like cutting it from the Shands Bridge to the Buckman. So yeah, so much busy. What do you think looking back? You're far down the road and maybe long after the days of Primp, and you're looking at Jacksonville as a chapter in your life. What's the name of that chapter?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Okay.
It's definitely the best chapter of my life so far.
The best chapter.
The best chapter.
That's a good title right there.
There you go.
You're reading this book. There's a bunch of chapter names, and then there's one that's the best chapter.
The best chapter.
I'm definitely reading that one.
Yeah.
What's in the future for Primp?
For Primp. So we actually had a post go viral about setting up this mobile salon. Yeah. And I had tons of ladies reach out to me and say, I want to do this, but I don't know how, or, I don't know how to do it in my area, and kind of all the challenges. And so my goal is to be able to help more people do this. And I don't know if that means franchising. We're kind of in the works trademarking to be able to possibly franchise down the road, or consulting or something along the lines of both. But I definitely want to be able to help people just do it. It's different. It's scary, and it's not something anybody's done before as far as I know, but just do it. And if I can help them do it, I want to help them do it. Okay.
That's super cool. Do you think maybe as part of that, we might see multiple trailers here in our city?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. The goal is convenience. So taking our one trailer, out to say San Marco or Green Cove isn't ideal. But if we could have one for that area and one for Fleming Island and one for St. John's, that's the goal.
Where do you store it?
I'm really fortunate on that respect. My aunt owns 4 acres in St. John's, and so we store it there.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know your neighborhood does not.
No. Every once in a while, I'll leave it overnight. It's good promo.
Okay, so, and that's what I was curious about that. And you're right. And the investment in a trailer. I mean, you can go get a brand new 37-foot trailer, and it could be pretty pricey, but relatively speaking, compared to buying. If you were purchasing a storefront or even leasing a storefront could be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
You know, even if you lease a triple net lease on a commercial, it's not like renting your apartment. You're responsible for the roof and the AC and the build out and everything. And then when your lease is up, if you leave, it's just like, there it is. You left it, right?
Yeah.
And so with the trailer, it really is yours. So it's got to be pretty cost effective startup. So if you get to the point where you're franchising and stuff, I mean, you could even get to where, because I'm sure you would want standards, right? You wouldn't want to like franchise and then you find out that the franchisee is like picking up like a 1960s trailer or something.
Yeah, no. So if we franchise, we would do all the build outs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know exactly what that looks like. I have the right team. A huge part of the challenges of this was finding my team, right? And so we have the team. And so we would do all the build outs to keep it consistent.
I love that. For somebody out there who's looking to follow along or they want to get in touch with you and even schedule like an appointment, what's the best way to do that? You
can schedule online at primpbyrhianrichard.com. And then you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and it's Primp St. John's.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. We'll check that out and we'll have those posted below. Rhian, it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I feel like we could talk. I'm like checking the time and I'm like, we're out of time. We could talk all day here.
Yeah.
Easy, pleasure to talk to. So thanks again for coming on.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I know you don't do guys' hair, but I got to come check out the trailers.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you have 2 daughters. Pop in.
True.
We do tinsel braids.
That's true. One's 8 months old. So
she's a little young. She's a little young for that, but we're thinking future here. She'll be a future client.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks again for listening. And Rhian, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
Good time.